We're starting today a new Seder in the Sefer Kochvey Or, which is called the Starlight. That is a Sefer that was written by the big tzaddik Rabbi Reb Nachman, who was the Rebbe of Rabbi Yitzchak Bender. And before we actually start with the Sefer, we are going to get through the preface of this Sefer, which tells the story a little bit of who he was, who Rabbi Nachman was, so that we have some idea who it is that we're talking about and whose book we're learning. So he was a grandson of one of the Rebbe's Talmid, was called Reuven Yosef, who was an Oved Hashem, was a Goen, was a Lamdim, and he was also one of the true Talmidim of Shmuel Isaac. And Shmuel Isaac was one of the Rebbe's great Talmidim. Once they said that he couldn't come to his house after Rosh Hashanah because of the Misnagdim, he sat for a whole year by Rabbeinu because of this. Mitzvah Yom Kippur, in the second year, the Rebbe said that there was a verdict on the Misnagid Shlomo from Heisen, they should die. That winter, he died, and immediately Reuven Yosef came to his house. And he says that the Rav of Heisen, the place where he lived, was a Misnagid. So the Rebbe told Reuven Yosef that any kind of psak, halacha, he will hear from the Rav, he will always say the opposite, without even checking it out. And that's what, even if he didn't remember what the psak was, but he always saw what the Rebbe said is emes, he always said the opposite of what the Rav said. And when they opened the Sefer Pesachim, how can you do this? To see who the psak is, they always saw that the truth is like him, until this Rav had to run out of town. This Reuven Yosef was a wealthy person. Anish used to stay in his house. When he came to Uman, Reb Nosson used to stay by him. And Reuven Yosef was like, he had Reb Nosson in his house like the biggest welcoming. And he also we actually started. Actually started later. Rabbi Avram was the father of Nachman Shulchin, that his wife passed away when she was still young. She left over two Yisayim, Rabbi Nachman and his sister Rachel. And Rabbi Avram married the second one, but very quickly afterwards he passed away too. It is known that Rabbi Nachman became a Yosef of both his parents when he was 8 years old. And these Yisraelim, they stayed by the stepmother. It was too heavy for her. She couldn't. Now, since Rabbi Avram, his father, had 4 other brothers, she decided she's going to take the Yisraelim and she's going to leave it by them. Let them. In the time of Heisin, lived this Reuven Yosef, who was a wealthy merchant. He was the wealthiest of all the brothers. So she took the children to his town, and cunningly she came to his house very late at night. And immediately, when she came to his house, she set them on the steps of his house. In the morning, someone will come to him and says, "Where are you from?" Tell them how you came. Tell them what the truth is. And immediately she left. She literally left them by his doorstep. And in the morning, the Reuven Yosef comes out and says, "These 2 children are sitting on the steps." He asked them who they are. They told him they are the children of his brother Avraham. Immediately understood what the story was. He told the rest of his brothers. So one of the brothers, Taka, took the girl, and Reuven Yosef left this Nachman in his house. And as we said, Reb Nosson used to stay by Reuven Yosef, and being that Reuven Yosef honored Reb Nosson so much, he put the little Yosem Nachman, you should serve Rav Nosson. And Nosson once said, in the house of Reuven Yosef, I have Archovas Hadas. I have leisure. Reuven Yosef passed away. It says, some said, in Taf Kuf Tzadik Hey or Tzadik Vav. It says there's one version that says he went to Savran trying to make peace between Rav Nosson and Savran, but one of the Chaykim threw a candlestick in his head and killed him. Injured him and he died from that. It says, is it possible? It says, this Yosem was serving Rav Nosson. How can he be close to Rav Nosson, not, become inflamed? He heard of Nosson Sichas, and he got into his neshama all the words of the incredible words of Rav Nosson. And when Nosson went to Eretz Yisrael, the way he stopped at Hasin, and in the middle of the Suda that they prepared for Rav Nosson, Rav Nosson said unbelievable sichas of his erus and his chazkas, and this Yosem, this boy, sat there and just listened to every single word. He was unbelievably excited. He started thinking about his tachlis, what it's going to be, what does he live for, and at the end, Rav Nosson finished his sicha with these words. It says, "This world is no, and there's no way to get it and to capture it. Torah and Avos Hashem are yes, and you can get them and you can acquire them. In other words, whatever it is you want out of this world, you cannot get. It's a no. There's no way you can get. You can make the biggest fortune. You don't keep anything. Torah and Avos Hashem is yes, you can do it and you can get them." And this got into the heart of the boy, and decided he is going to stick to Rav Nosson by thick or thin in the Sicha. His uncle sent him to the market to buy something, and afterwards Rav Nosson said that when at the time when he went to the market, he already nodded in his machshava, he's going to be tied up to Rav Nosson for as long as he lives. In his first zivug, Rav Nosson Chuchin word a woman from Breslov. The shidduch was made by his uncle, Rav Yosef. He had a single daughter, Zivu Grishon, and she married Rabbi Yudel, the son of Rabbi Yitzchak Ber from Teplik. Yitzchak Ber from Teplik, together with his big brother, Rabbi Kisiel, were the big Talmid of Rav Nosson. They both became born from the bracha of the Tirovet Tzemagit. Rabbi Yitzchak Ber was the father of Yudel. The says that's the one that we said before from the message of the Dibur Emunah, when he was old, if you remember, he says, "Hashevach to Hashem Yisborach, every place where I open up and put them the Eves Forum, it lights to me." Remember that? That's and even the big Misnag Nistan said he was a big tzaddik. And Rabbi Yudel had a son and a daughter from the daughter of Reb Nachman. And this daughter married her cousin, Reb Nosson ben Kasir, and Reb Nosson used to live in Babrinitz. I'm trying to find out how we can sort of shorten it out, because it can get so complicated that we won't know what is. Okay, so it said Reb Reuven Yosef made shidduch to Reb Nachman with his first wife. Reb Nachman Zal went to live with Breslov, and he was all about Reb Nosson. But a short time afterwards, his first wife passed away, so he married Esther Shendel. After his marriage, he went to live in Tulchin, which is very close to Breslov. And Rav Nachman, his son, said, "Hashem Yisborach made him so that he sit in Tulchin, which is not far from Breslov. It's like Nemirovus from Breslov." And it's what is understood from the Rebbe's Dibur. There was a big kavanah that he sat in Breslov close to Reb Nosson, who was a Nemirov, and not with Reb Nosson in the same town. Because Reb Nosson also wanted once to live while Rabbeinu was alive in Breslov, and the Rebbe would not agree. Don't live in the same town with him. Because the Menias, they make the Kalim. The Menias make the Kalim. But Menias should be just not too much, and it breaks away, you fall off. So Breslev and Nemiro was like 20 kilometers. So he was able to go. The same thing, same distance was between Reb Nachman Tulchin and Reb Nosson, like 20 kilometers. Tulchin, it's just like 20 kilometers. For 16 years, Reb Nosson was in Haisin. And for 18 years in Tulchin. And his minhag was, he would walk twice every month to Reb Nosson to hear from his holy mouth, Givrat Yom Chaim. Twice a month, he would walk 20 kilometers. There and back. And he said, for 18 years in Breslov, and 18 last years of his 70 years, he was in Uman around Rabbeinu's Tzim. And over there was Mishayim Bakod, he was the Chazan, he was the Shamash of the Klois, he was the sextant. It says Rabbeinu's, and that's the way he used to sign himself. Me, Nachman, I'm a Shamash Bakodesh. You know, Rabbeinu's sextant. And the mother of Reb Avram was Esther Shenul. She was a very, very important woman. She got married in the second zivug. Before she got married to Reb Nachman, she became Almana, and she lived at the house of Bras Odl, the daughter of Rabbeinu Zal. Bras Odl, she's the one who made the shidduch with Reb Nachman Tulchina. At the time of the chuppah, at the time of Akofas, walking around the chosim, she walked around with her. She whispered in her ear. He says, I gave you a kosher and elcha husband, Yerushalayim. I gave you somebody good. When she was old and she was blinded, she had to be mishamish very much. They all saw, the statue of Reb Avram Nachman. Every time that he came, Rosh Hashanah, the highly days of Rosh Hashanah, how he was careful with her honor, and he was mishamish her with all his strength. And he would sit by her for a long time. He would feed her and shamash or whatever, and he would beg her to eat a little more. Maybe, he says, his kibbut avim was absolutely unbelievable. That Hashem will continue tomorrow.